Okay, I'm Dave Carpentier. I'm actually a fill-in. They called me from the bullpen here. Sweep something together real quick. Dave Carpentier, CEO of Assurely. What Assurely does is that we build brand new insurance products, existing changing industries. Obviously, everybody here in the digital asset space is here because it's a large industry that's massively changing. We then build those products or adjust those products, and we deliver them either through APIs, through non-insurance native digital platforms, aka embedded finance, embedded insurance, or through an entirely digital experience vis-a-vis a full service insurance that we also have. So digital assets are difficult from an insurance perspective, but it's not just digital assets, it's any change. And I can go into some of the very tangible reasons on why that's the case. But in general, when an industry changes and a customer changes, the risks also change. And insurance traditionally has been very poor at adjusting to this change. That's why we built Assurely. And we've done this before from both the traditional insurance space as well as the insurtech space. Our team over the last 7 years has been responsible for either leading, founding, or key executives for teams that have raised about $1 billion from VC. We have an IPO under our belts for about $4 billion with Lemonade acquisition, and then 2 more that are actually going to be going public in SPACs in the next 24 months. Before that, executives at some of the bigger insurance companies and insurance brokers there. From a new product perspective, Gary spoke a lot about it. The folks from T0 spoke a lot about it. The enablement of the industry is important. We've been credited or been responsible for inventing some of these products. Try to get this crypto theft insurance. Wall Street Journal called that the watershed event for that industry. That was us. The director insurance policy came from our desks. It's a little bit like you invented the question mark, but we were credited also with inventing cyber insurance. So we've done this before. And so you probably know where this story is going, is when you have a $1.7 trillion annual private securities industry that is touching the internet and or touching technology, whether it's private security or anything else. Once you touch the internet and technology, very rarely do you raise your hand and say, I think I'm going to go back and do it the old-fashioned way. So we've seen it before. We've actually been fortunate enough to kind of direct a piece of it. So some of the challenges in the private security space, when blockchain, when technology starts managing cap tables, starts helping folks raise capital, when they start managing investor rights and ultimately chasing liquidity, is one product specifically called directors and officers. When you use general solicitation, when you start using a website, when you start, if you're using Reg CF or Reg A to bring in non-accredited investors, it looks and feels like an IPO to the insurance world, and they're not wrong. The private company directors and officers industry is completely excluded covering investors when you raise capital in this place. It's a little, well, actually, I don't even think most of the insurance folks that are out there know about this. Speaking down to some of my colleagues, the insurance folks candidly are a little lazy. The challenge is when you raise money this way, investors are actually your biggest risk in the first 18 months. So what we've done is we built, and this is where we shine, we built what's called the Tiger Mark Directors and Officers Insurance Program. Supports people raising capital online, supports digital securities, the folks that are using tech-driven investor management, and folks that are chasing liquidity. It also has a very interesting and very powerful investor benefit, as well as folks like Vertalo or the platforms that are helping enabling this. I'll talk about that in a little bit. We act as the underwriter on this program and some of these programs that we build. We have 3 A or A- rated carriers that are giving us their balance sheet and allowing us to set the pricing, manage administrations. This is not a small deal. Additionally, we are also licensed in Bermuda, which gives us the opportunity to insure cannabis projects or folks that are touching or using the word crypto, which for a lot of regulators and a lot of insurance companies in the US. So what we've done to get this accomplished is we've partnered with the other stakeholders in the industry. In layman's terms, we kind of talk about, are the adults in the room. So when we know who and have a relationship with the attorney, with the software system, with the folks helping create the PPM or investment pieces, when we know the shareholders and the advisors for a relevant offering or relevant issue, we can proactively, and we are doing this today, proactively discounting directors and officers up to 10%. This is real tangible value. Now, so we bring a better product to the market for a new industry, and we're actually delivering at an equal or lower price than what the market is seeing today. Part of this is because we're doing it with technology, we have better economics, yada, yada, yada. But ultimately, we've built a better mousetrap, and we've done it a couple times. We're working with folks you might already know, like I said, the legal advisors, accountants, broker dealers. These are folks that we're working with today for their platform, for their customers, delivering insurance or embedding insurance services within their platforms. Not only does it help them customers, it also helps them better attract users on both sides of a two-sided marketplace. And for the right partners, we have the opportunity to increase margin by delivering embedded insurance services through these platforms. So it's not just, and I'm gonna come back with a bunch of questions in a little bit, but we've done this for a couple other industries as well. So the Tiger Mark program is a program that we built a product specifically for. We act as what's called the underwriter, the managing general agent, and then support that also with a full service insurance brokerage. But we've also, over the course of the last 12 months, in commercial real estate, education, and student debt, have 3 additional products that we both built and are released. One went live last month in these 3 sectors. Again, going back to stuff we did before Assurely, we are continuing to go and find opportunities to change and or enable these new industries. When you talk about embedding products, and I'll come back to those industries in a second, when we come back to embedding products into non-insurance native third parties, the statistics that we found in partnership with Andreessen, Bain, and a couple other folks that were doing some research, that about 80% of the insurance customers in the world prefer to buy or access insurance through somebody other than their insurance agent or a broker. That's powerful. That's powerful. It's very interesting. In fact, we're going to write a blog later this year on it. Insurance is in the business of selling trust, but inherently the industry isn't trusted. There's a fundamental issue with that. And by embedding insurance services and leveraging folks that already have a relationship with a customer, an end user, you can reduce friction, you can deliver a product at a better price point, more customization, and you can actually add additional margin to that non-insurance native third party. You're seeing a big, you've seen this before, eBay in 2001. eBay created access. Now this is a little parallel to what you're seeing in digital assets. eBay created access, PayPal pivoted in, and PayPal helped enable the transaction. And a company you might not be aware of called SquareTrade. SquareTrade is on 96% of every single transaction within eBay. You might just refer to it as the money back guarantee, right? SquareTrade, selling $1, $2, $3, $4 warranty products, traded to Allstate for $1.6 billion. Because what it did is it enabled an entirely new industry. And like I said, there's other examples of this. eBay here, Airbnb in the economy. There's tangible lifts in this. To get widespread adoption in industry, symbols of trust and insurance always need to be present, specifically to unlock and reinforce trust with risk-adverse users. Now, going back to some of these products that we're bringing in place. Now, this is not necessarily just these trust industries, but when we talk about these industries and embedding insurance into non-insurance native partners, other than the Tiger Mark program, here's a couple more that we've built and released. In the commercial real estate space, there's right now $250 billion of commercial lease security deposits sitting dead in a bank account. a security deposit for the landlord, the investor, etc. At max, you're going to get 2 months. But to get a tenant in, you're probably investing somewhere between 6, 9, or 12 months to get that person in. If they default, that's a massive break. From a tenant perspective, $250 billion or $10,000 into a bank account. We've simply built a product that eliminates the need for a security deposit. It can be added on to the transaction and accrued as an additional lift in monthly rent. More protection for the landlord, less friction for the transaction, and the tenant gets to keep the money. That's a product we've released today, $2.5 billion balance sheet to back that up. This is an exciting one as well. This is brand new. This will be launching in January of 2022. Again, non-insurance native third party, somebody that already adds value to the education industry. We have built an insurance product from scratch. Basically allows us to go to the colleges and universities in the United States today that says they can go to their students and say, hey student, come to our school, go through our curriculum, graduate. We guarantee that you will get a job. If you do not, we will pay your student debt for an extended period of time. That again is powerful. What we will be releasing, which is very relevant to a lot of the folks in this industry. What we will be releasing based out of Bermuda, which I'll talk about that in a second, but we are also a licensed entity in Bermuda, is smart contract insurance. It's very interesting when you want to bring, and I believe it was Gary that talked about, when you want to bring some of the traditional institutions, folks that they don't want to hear about blockchain, they don't want to hear about crypto, they want to understand, are the investments that I was making, are the protocols that I'm comfortable with, do they reside, or are they just running more efficient? When it comes to smart contract insurance, we will be ensuring the fact that a smart contract actually satisfies what's in the smart contract. Today, that doesn't exist in insurance. It's called technology errors and omissions. And the insurers today are either A, creating crafty language, or B, putting massive deductibles on there because they're not comfortable with the risk. So we're the first insurance provider to secure language that specifically within the insurance contract stipulates ensuring the efficacy of a smart contract, including digital assets, and have actually named Bitcoin within an insurance contract and the efficacy of those transactions. This is an industry, this specific product, we also see as another watershed industry or watershed event for the industry, because it's either A, going to relieve a lot of the pressure on custody requirements, and B, we think potentially long-term for this industry has the potential to replace the custody requirement. So that's who we are. We operate on very data-driven, whether it's on the real estate side or traditional company raising capital, data in, understanding what they need. We put them into one of our products, or if it's not the appropriate, we'll actually broker those coverages ourselves as well. We have relationships not just with the ones I listed before, but all the top guys. Our board is ex-CFO and board members at Swiss Re, AIG. I could go down the list. We're well involved, are well networked within the senior leadership of the insurance industry. We have an AI engine that actually can underwrite risk instantaneously. When we are embedded in a crowdfunding portal, there is no application for somebody to get insurance from us. That is unheard of in the commercial real estate space, or I'm sorry, in the commercial insurance space. We're licensed in all 50 states in the US, as well as Bermuda. Bermuda unlocks us from both difficult risks in the US, as well as allows us to place international coverages. And then everybody here is probably familiar with this. When you operate in a regulated industry, FINRA and the SEC do not regulate us. But when you operate and you want to help customers innovate in new regulated industries or changing industries, you need to play nice in the sandbox with the regulators. Before we went live with the Tiger Mark insurance policy, we went and knocked on FINRA's door and said, hey, this is coming into the industry. And so folks have vetted this, et cetera. Although FINRA would never actually admit that, out loud. And actually, I kind of missed a piece here about the benefit and why this was so important. Within the Tiger Mark, and I apologize going back, within the Tiger Mark policy, like eBay, like the sharing economy, when you have a two-sided marketplace, symbols of trust and insurance are very important for widespread adoption. We knew that with this space. Within the Tiger Mark insurance policy, there's an opportunity, and specifically written in the policy, that folks like Alan, folks that are issuing securities or raising capital, can externally communicate the Tiger Mark insurance program, as well as the investor benefit that allows us to return the principal investment to the investor. This is very important. Fraud, misrepresentation, misuse of funds, et cetera, et cetera. We have the opportunity to utilize insurance to be the return of funds when a bad event occurs. The importance of that, and now granted, we're not in the business of insuring crooks. We're not in the business of insuring the bad boys. We want to insure the good people, but we know that the mechanism of the symbols of insurance and the mechanism of the ability to return that principal investment is very, very powerful as people want to bring widespread adoption to this industry. So that is us. I'm happy to, I know we're a little behind time, so I want to go through real fast, make sure everybody can get to lunch on time. But I'd love to answer any questions about who we are, what we've built in the past, et cetera. We do a lot of work with this industry. I would say a good portion of this conference are either clients or partners of ours in some way, shape, or form. And yeah, any questions?
Good question, Dave. New product for commercial real estate for security deposits. As I heard you describe it, it's a little bit more than just security deposits, because if as you take on a new tenant and you have an extensive build out and it's costing you a lot of money for them, you can just essentially cause the tenant to buy this policy.
Correct.
That ensures that their rental payments through the term of the lease or
correct.
the expense of the...
That's correct. You can embed this insurance policy as part of your contract.
That's huge.
And just embed that and actually push that premium cost, that additional couple $100 a month,
Do you have
push
to
that forward.
do any vetting of
On this,
the tenant?
yes, yes. On this one, we actually underwrite instantaneously from third-party data sources. Just shy of 800 data points we underwrite with a computer.
So you have a franchisee who's setting up a franchise.
Yeah. There's no insurance application. This is where the insurance industry is lazy. You're not going to get a piece of paper from us on a PDF and say return this. At worst, you're going to get a web form that's half filled out because there's either information that we can't find on the web, or we see A on this site and B on this site, and we need you to certify it as a customer.
So all I do is embed a clause in the lease that says, in addition to the rent and the triple rent, you're going to pay this as part of the triple
Correct,
rent.
and we would then get basic information from you on that tenant. That would kick off automatic underwriting and return the rate for you to embed that rate into their rent.
That's powerful.
What's that? This is live, correct? Correct. So we started writing this. We stay below the radar on a lot of stuff because we want to get together first before we go live. Right. This has a $2.5 billion balance sheet today behind it. We actually underwrote this with the credit markets originally, and flipped it to an insurance product in August. But yeah, so we can underwrite up to 500 security deposits, up to 500,000. $100,000 security deposits and below is automated underwriting. It'll come instantaneously through an API or some type of GUI, depending what integration, or a website if somebody prefers that way. I don't carry cards, but I can email. We can email each other and exchange information. So, any other questions?